Well, Andy, Warren and Stuart Watson here at Portman Road. What an occasion that was this afternoon, Stu. A big crowd and town in the end, after a couple of wobbles, delivered 3-2 winners against Portsmouth.
Needed that, didn't they? I think had that finished 2-2, Portsmouth twice pegging Ipswich back through penalties. The narrative as we stood here is played well again, but let Leeds slip again. Still can't beat the bigger teams, but we don't have to talk about that because they did win it, thankfully. And crowd of 29,000, 28, high 28s, go home very happy. It was a topsy-turvy game, but ultimately fully deserved winners in that game, weren't they, I think?
Yeah, definitely. First half, by far the better team. The second half, a bit more stop-start. There was a point, 55 minutes, I think I clocked it out, where Portsmouth began the squeezing, the timing out of this game. Happy with a point that they'd been given through the first of Colby Bishop's penalties, which Christian Moulton gave it away in the end, which equalised from Marcus Harness's opener. And from there, you're thinking, okay, it's getting tight. This is going to be a tough nut to crack. But they cracked it, and I thoroughly enjoyed the way that they did it. Freddie Ladapo with the first touch, putting them back ahead again. But that's the kind of game I really, really like. We know Ipswich can play slick football. We know they can open teams up. We know they can dominate. But now we know that they can dig deep and get their way through these games. And if you're going to pack a stadium, send them home with a 3-2 win. That was really, really enjoyable. Even if at times the quality didn't quite reach certain levels, it doesn't matter. They've won. They've beaten an unbeaten side, and everyone's feeling good.
Yeah, first half an hour, I thought Ipswich were really good. Had Portsmouth penned in, Chaplin hit the post, corner after corner, fully deserved to go ahead when Chaplin slipped away Marcus Harness for a cool finish. Two former Portsmouth players combining, of course, and everything was going also swimmingly. And that's then sort of stage one of shooting themselves in the foot came when sort of a ball over the top, fairly innocuous, and Luke Wolfenden, little lapse of concentration. Dane Scarlett sort of got in behind him. Don't think we can lay any blame at Christian Walton's door. He was kind of forced into making the foul as the Tottenham loanee tried to go around him. Almost kept the penalty out. I think it squirmed underneath him, Colby Bishop, and it was 1-1. Second half, after that, I thought it then got very bitty, very scrappy. I thought the atmosphere in got a bit flat, if I'm honest. The game was drifting, as you say. Portsmouth, I think, were quite happy to kind of take their time over a few things, which leads us onto a bit of an irony late on, which we'll come on to. But Ipswich got themselves back in front again, and it was kind of a repeat, wasn't it? Ipswich score again, Portsmouth get a penalty again.
Yeah, two changes from the bench, Ladapo and Kyle Edwards on, and a bit of a spark. And if you're going to make an impact, do it with your first touch. And what a finish that was from Ladapo. Leif Davis pulled back, but left-footed right into the top corner. Really, really nice finish from a player who's got 3 and 3 now across all competitions. But down the other end, Sam Morsey catches, I think it was Conor Ogilvie late, and then this time Bishop sends Walton the wrong way with a really good penalty in there. There we are again.
Yeah, Portsmouth didn't, 2 penalties aside, didn't create an awful amount today with their 4-4-2 formation, did they? One free kick that Walton sort of beat away, but they didn't create a huge amount. And that would have been so frustrating had Ipswich not won this game. But win it they did. That was a real deflating moment when the second penalty goes in, but thankfully we waited all of 60 seconds for the lead to be retaken, and it was another sub. Kyle Edwards came on in place of Harness, played a little bit wider out on the left-hand side. He was up against a left-footed right-back in Ogilvie and took him on the outside. Deflected cross, looped up over the goalkeeper, and Wes Burns was there to head in from about half a yard out on the goal line. He won't score an easier goal than that. And for weeks we've been talking about Ipswich not quite getting the break of the ball in the box, and they got it there, and they deserved it. So and after that they saw it out quite nicely, didn't they? Good game management.
Yeah, spoke to Wes after the game. He said he thought it was going out for a corner and that it hit him in the face. So there's your stroke of fortune as the lights go out a little bit. We talked about Dane Scarlett there getting away from Luke Wolfen. I think that was the only time that they lost him this afternoon. Apart from that one sort of blotting of the copybook, I thought Wolfenden played really well, and we were both really impressed with George Edmondson, weren't we? Who in both boxes just got his head on everything, but defensively had three opportunities to head at goal himself, and played really well on the floor as well. After a few questions over him in recent weeks, that was a really good response from him, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he was up the pitch and having a hand in the winner as well, wasn't he? Played the ball forward for Carl Edwards. Right, so 3-2 win, and we got some other stuff to talk about as well. At 3-2, the Ipswich fans decided not to give the ball back when it went off the pitch. I think that will split opinions. I've seen a bit on Portsmouth social media talking about it lacking class and things like that. You'd probably feel the same if it happened against you. But I thought both managers dealt with that quite nicely afterwards. Danny Cowley was obviously hugely frustrated at the time. Afterwards, he sort of said, "Okay, it's a home crowd trying to help their home team in a big game. I'm okay with it." And Kieran McKenna sort of said there was a great irony, obviously, and a lot of teams have come here, looked to run down the clock in recent years. Portsmouth being prime offenders, they were doing a bit of it today, so it was a little bit of a taste of their own medicine there, wasn't it, as the ball bounced around in the North Stand for a spell. Yeah,
Cowley also said that his kind of players got caught up in the emotion of that as well. So I don't. It wasn't just the act of Town fans doing that and keeping the ball. I don't think he thought that the Portsmouth players particularly dealt with it as well. I think they were remonstrating with fans. There's some video out there of them kind of like remonstrating with fans over it. Got caught up in the emotion a little bit there, but it is what it is, isn't it? It's that's football.
Yeah, well, we saw it at Hillsborough a few weeks ago with the home crowd, I think, having effect on that late decision. With the goal standing for Sheffield Wednesday, you know, if you want your home place to become a fortress, that proverbial 12th man can make a difference, and maybe they did a little bit today. Which leads us on to Kieran McKenna's post-match press conference. There's a man who I thought looked more sense of relief at that final whistle, fired up more than usual, a very calm, measured man, but he enjoyed that today, and I think he enjoyed it because of some of the pre-match comments from Danny Cowley, who talked a lot, as he often does, about Ipswich's budget. And Kieran McKenna's had a few things to say about that, hasn't he?
Pretty pointed, that, wasn't it? I think Kieran knew what he wanted to say and went into a quite kind of staunch defence of his club, which you know what, actually I enjoyed listening to it. It's a man that's up for this. He's not the Manchester United assistant manager anymore. He's the manager of Ipswich Town, and I think he went into bat to defend his club. Cowley talks about the different approaches of the two clubs. That's all about finance, and McKenna rebutted a lot of that, pointing at certain things, international caps, players with championship experience in the Portsmouth squad as well. So
that's a fair point. Yeah. You go through that. We looked at their team beforehand, and we sort of said, like, Raggett and Morrison, you know, been around the block centre half. You've got Morrell, Welsh international, in central midfield. You've got Marlon Pack, who's dropped down a division. You've got Dane Scarlett. He said, you know, in McKenna's opinion, is one of the best young players in world football. Colby Bishop, who we know has been a thorn in Ipswich's side. So,
Karoma.
And I think he's obviously trying to say that, I think the phrase he uses, there's been a false kindness from opposition managers that are trying to sort of derail what we're trying to do. They're trying to spin this narrative of Ipswich being the biggest of big dogs in this division, and they should be beating sides like Portsmouth, and McKenna was trying to redress that a little bit today. And as you say, that's great to see an Ipswich manager really intelligently and articulately sort of hitting back on that. I think Ipswich fans will have enjoyed those quotes today.
Yeah, they'll have enjoyed the quotes, and they'll have enjoyed the game as well. 28,000 more than that in here for a 3-2 victory over Portsmouth.